Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking about Need for Speed Payback. I'm going to start with some good news. I actually am quite enjoying myself playing this game on the most part. There is a couple of things that do their very best to try and ruin the game entirely, but on the most part I'm certainly having a hell of a lot more fun with this game than I did with 2015. It is no secret I did not like 2015 Need for Speed game. I thought it was utterly awful. There was very little in the way of redeeming characteristics about it, whereas with this one there is a lot more. I'm actually enjoying spending time playing this game rather than having to play through it to be able to make an informed video on it, which is pretty much all the time I spent with 2015. So yeah, it is definitely an improvement. Let's start with the driving physics. Of course, it is still very much an arcade racing game. They are much improved over the previous version. The cars no longer feel quite like they are trying to drive themselves. I mean, there is still an element of weirdness. Now, whether at any point it's going to do it while I'm making this video or not, I don't know. Where the car is almost pivoting around the wrong point is very, very difficult for me to describe it. But there are times when it feels like it's pivoting around a center point rather than having the car actually steering, from the front wheels. Very weird when it happens, but I can't think of a better way to describe it. And yeah, I mean, the cornering is basically a tap brake and you will drift your way around places. That's okay, a good arcadey handling system is, fun to play with, and on the most part, this isn't too bad to drive whatsoever. Yeah, you tap the brakes, and, well, I tend to do it a couple of times, just make sure I've got the car ready to slide your way through corners, and it'll go, and it'll be enjoyable enough to drive. The brakes themselves are pretty pants in terms of stopping the car if you try to drive a corner normally. If we go, say we're going at 100 miles an hour here, if we are to then go jump on the brakes, it feels like it takes a real long time. In fact, it's quite difficult for the brakes to lock up. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to get myself back up to that 100 miles an hour and show you that you are actually significantly quicker. We've got a please be a road. Okay, well, we're going to be a road that's not quite going where I hoped it would go. Never mind, bear with me. We'll just get to a bit of road where I can do this. Basically, you are much quicker off stopping the car if you grab the handbrake and spin it around. Okay, as you're not going to be trying to stop the car from a dead thing, but yeah, you can't really drive these vehicles like a normal car. You've got to sort of slide the things around the place and so on. And it works, though. It works because there's a little bit more finesse to it. You've got a little bit more control, and as I said, on the whole, it's pretty good to go driving with. Shall we go and have a look at a race? Sure, we're here, so we might as well go and have a go. So I kind of quite like this whole sort of side bets that come up with each of the race. They will change every time you do a race. It'll be a specific challenge. Some will be stay in the lead for a certain amount of time. Some will be driving oncoming traffic for a certain amount of time, or smash into so many kind of obstacles and whatnot. In this case, it's beat a certain time to the finish. I quite like it. Well, you don't earn a huge amount of extra money for doing it, but there's just an additional little challenge. The AI, certainly in 2015, were a big pile of awfulness with their horrendous rubber banding, essentially. Now, on here, I have heard of people having issues with rubber banding AI. For me, personally, I've not seen it as much. While they can sometimes sort of make up ground, in general, oh god, that's not what I wanted to have thrown directly at my face at the start of a race. Yeah, I mean, they can, to an extent, catch up, but I've had races where I've got to the lead, stayed out in the lead, and never seen an AI car again. They've not magically teleported their way behind, and equally, if I've made a mistake early on and fallen back, they don't sort of stop and let me catch up. Is there an element of rubber banding? I still think so, and it may get worse in different events and further down the line. From what I have seen, though, it is nowhere near as bad. For example, here, at this particular race that I am doing, I'm not being magically teleported. I mean, I've taken a big old shortcut to get my way up towards the leader here, but I'm not being magically, or they're not braking to let me catch up. And likewise, the cars behind, You know, they had a mistake. They bumped into a truck or whatever, and they're not suddenly directly behind us again. So it is considerably fairer. We do also have a manual gearbox, a proper manual gearbox to be playing around with from the off. It's yeah, I say it's a nice addition. It should be in most racing games. It's there now, which is good. We don't have a first-person camera, but I can't say I was particularly expecting that. This racer is actually pretty bloody fast. I am not going to be able to win this one, typically. We're going to beat the time, but we're not going to be able to win the race. I don't know whether it will be enough to beat the time. As I say, the bet was for me to win. So I lost money on that one, and I still overall made money. Never mind, that was a race. Not a bad race. Yeah, the AI are a big improvement. The AI are a big improvement. They might not quite be perfect, but on the whole, you will have better races than we did before. On the subject of handling physics, there is one peculiarity with this game, and that is the sense of speed feels really wonky. I mean, you'll be doing 130, 140 miles an hour, and it doesn't feel fast at all. It doesn't feel fast at all. One of the heist missions, with the first heist mission you do, you drive the Coen Segregera, and that car felt quick when that was doing 200 miles an hour through the roads, but a lot of the time you'll be doing, you know, decent speeds, and it just doesn't feel quick. Now, I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm not quite sure how they've got that one wrong. I don't know whether it's the roads are so open that sort of designed to allow for your faster cars to run at high speeds. Kind of how Horizon has slight issues in that you never get any technical sections in it because it's designed to allow fast cars to be driven quickly. And I don't know whether that's a little bit of the case here, sort of wide open roads. Even like, ooh, hello truck. Even on this sort of little mountain path that we've come to, that is narrower than a lot of roads that you'll be driving around. Yeah, the cars never feel quick until you get to the real crazy hypercars, and I'm not quite sure what it is. I've heard I'm not the only one with struggling on that front. It's again, I can live with that as a problem. Oh dear, we're gonna tumble down a mountain. Yeah, I can live with that as a problem. It's not the worst thing imaginable with the game. As I said, overall, other stuff has got better. Oh dear, are we gonna be stuck? Well, while we're here, I might as well go do something. Well, okay, I didn't have to go that very far back for something else I wanted to talk about. The map is also a big improvement. The map is also a huge improvement over the previous game. There are these kind of various different distinct areas, and they're decent enough places to go driving. This area over here is kind of largely off-roady desert, and you'll mess around in some, well, not quite sand dunes, but you'll mess around off-road and fly about in your vehicles. You've got a city over here. It's a decent-sized map. Not the largest driving map you will ever visit, but it's a decent-sized map. And again, the roads are actually fun to drive around. There's a full day-night cycle as well. But it's not as open as you might want it to be, as you saw there where I fell off the mountain. While there are some places where it will let you go exploring, not all of them. Oh, we can't drive through the tree. So what on earth is going on with that signpost? I don't know, but it's going to get run over. Yeah, you're not really free to go exploring, particularly. Despite it looking open, it'll often reset you. Bits are often cordoned off, which is a shame, because this game so desperately wants to be the Crew, and yet it doesn't have what made the Crew excellent. The Crew as a game had quite a lot of flaws, but for sheer exploring, it was near unbeaten. And while, of course, this isn't going to compete with the Crew in terms of map size, even when there is the possibility of some exploring, half the time it is taken away from you by just being reset. And it's not like it's walls and so on that are penning you in. It's, well, okay, in this case it is. But in some places you'll think, oh yeah, I can just go over there, and the game will quickly reset you. That's a little bit of a shame. When you have a big world like this, I want to be able to explore it. When I've got off-road cars, okay, maybe not in this Buick, but when I have off-road cars, I want to be able to go explore the off-road bits. And a lot of the time you can't. While you can in the centre bit of the map, maybe we'll teleport our way over here quickly. You can in this centre bit on the most part. Petrol station, that's where you teleport to. Yeah, a lot of the other areas you won't be able to go exploring. Kind of a shame. Plus point, loading times are pretty quick on the most part. I am playing this on the One X. I don't know what it is like on the other versions of the console and on other consoles, etc. But loading times are pretty good for a big open world game. Yeah, here you can go exploring, but other places not so much. There is, in terms of graphics, most part a good looking game. We do have some odd pop-in going on. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you. It will depend if I can find the right vehicles. Certainly garbage trucks, for example, if you see them from a distance, I say from a distance, they don't have to be that far away at all, and they kind of horrible low poly, and then you get a little bit closer and suddenly it pops into existence as a garbage truck. I don't think you can quite see it going on with these cars, but yeah, oh, there you go, kind of see the popping go. It's not quite as you would expect. It's not quite as you would expect. Again, not completely game-breaking thing, and not really wholly ruining my enjoyment of the game, but it's just little niggles like that are a bit of a shame. Again, when the rest of the game looks so good, it kind of seems odd that it's not quite capable of loading in garbage trucks properly. Now, of course, a big aspect of Need for Speed is the customizing of the vehicles. Now, the first car that you get, I went for the Buick, naturally, is fairly heavily customized to begin with. We're going to go and jump back to our garage because I have some cars to, especially got ready some cars to work on in all of this. Customization is again improved on here. While I haven't, of course, had every single car to play around with and to look at, what I have got, what I have seen so far, looks pretty damn promising. So these vehicles I've got at the moment. I've got the Buick that we start with, the Land Rover as my off-road vehicle to start with, a Mustang that was a derelict that I found. I'll go into those in a minute because that's really cool. And at some point an Audi S5 turned up. I don't know quite at what point we got that one. And I got a drag Ford Roadster because, of course, I had to get that one. I haven't actually seen what the customization options are on the Audi, so that should be an interesting one. Right, let's go into visual customization. So you've got your various areas that you can work on. I haven't quite unlocked all of them, unfortunately, but I got a fair few of them. So you've got splitters, and most cars will have 3 or 4 parts for each section. This was a big criticism I had of 2015, again, was that when you got, some cars maybe had 1 or 2 bits you could change, and that was it. From what I have seen so far, most of these cars have got a good amount of options. Even the more unusual cars, like the vehicles I've got at the moment, are not what I would call the tuner cars, if you like. But even these have got 2 or 3 options in most categories. And that's good. That's very, very good to see. It means you can have more fun messing around with your vehicle. Now, you might not like some of the parts in here whatsoever, but it's nice to have the options there available to you. Now, when it comes to the crazy modifications, you have to get vehicles up to, I think only the derelicts can get really ridiculous modifications, and to get those, you need to get them up to performance level 300, which I haven't got to yet. And I don't know whether some of these vehicles here, for example, will get like crazy wide body kits and so on if you get them up to higher levels and so on. But yeah, even this Audi, for example, that would perhaps not have had very much at all in the way of customization in previous game, has now got plenty of different options. You can also do the stance tuning on the car, so you can have silly camber and make the car completely and utterly unusable, or unfortunately we can't make it silly with positive camber, or make it really high and try and make a jelly car out of it. However, yeah, it's a nice little system. Again, easy thing to use. Yes, I do want to continue. Don't really care about any of that. But there we go. There is a paint booth, as you saw with my Buick. I managed to make it in the proper FailRace colours. It's a little bit more difficult to use than the likes of Forza, but you can still do some pretty decent stuff. The Mustang. Let's go and grab the Mustang. Let's go build. Play around with this particular one. This is a derelict car. You find various parts for it around the world, and then you are rewarded with the vehicle. And these have got the most customization options available to them, I believe. And again, as I said, when you get to a high enough tier, that's when you can do some presumably crazy stuff with them. As I said, I haven't actually got that far enough through the game yet. But yeah, there is a decent amount of stuff that we can build on here. I can choose what we want. Headlight wise, I think we're going to go with a nice simple clear set of those. Splitter. What do we want? Shall we go with a... Well, I mean, it's going to be a beard of some sort. I mean, is that the one that it comes... Oh, it doesn't actually come with a splitter, of course. Front bumper. What have we got in the way of front bumpers? Ooh. Sure, let's go with that one. We'll go with the hungry-looking Mustang, and then we will grab splitter. Does that splitter have a wing? Oh, it does. The splitter, my splitter has a wing on it. This is the best thing ever. Fantastic. I don't quite know how I get rid of the dodge. Okay, that's how we do. No, maybe not. I don't know how I get rid of the rusted doors on my Mustang. Oh no! Don't want to do that just yet. And that'll be for a little bit later down the line. We talk about performance stuff. Rear bumper. Let's go grab one of these that looks. Ooh, okay. Some interesting options for for rear. That's a strange looking bumper. That one. Let's go for that. Yes. Can we get? I'm not quite sure why I want holes in my... That just feels like everything in there would get very wet if it happened to rain. So let's get rid of that. Oh, I haven't unlocked spoilers yet, unfortunately. I haven't got a car that can do 175 yet to unlock that stuff. It's kind of a mostly restored. I haven't unlocked diffusers either. Oh, I think I only just unlocked drift zones. And then we've got... wheels to... Oh, we can put it back on its rusty rust bucket wheels. If you're into this sort of thing, there is a fair few of these to go through and stick on the vehicles. Yeah, it's a decent selection. I'm never really that fussed about wheels when it comes to cars. I tend to stick on whatever's the lightest when it comes to Forza. Sure, let's go for a set of these, and then we can paint them into different colours. Can we do... Oh, God, we can do material as well. So, yeah, there is plenty in the way of customizing. All right, apply... Oh, you can actually do it by specific wheels as well, by specific front and rears. That's quite cool. There we go. Apply to all. And we can have secondary colours. Oh, God, we can change the size as well. Sure, we'll go for that. You can also change the brake discs in here. You can have different different looks for the discs. You can change the calipers. Again, I haven't quite unlocked it yet. You can change the tyres as well. So, yeah, customization, pretty solid. Pretty solid indeed on here in terms of the visual side. Before we get on to the game's big problems, I will go through briefly the derelict system on here, which is very, very good. I think it's one of my favourite barn find ways of doing things. So this Mustang was the first derelict car that I came across. Let's just go and jump in. We'll go grab the Land Rover, sure. Let's get in this car. So when you beat one of the kind of little factions in the game, you will be given, rather than, be given a car or whatever, you're given clues to a derelict's location. And this is a very good, fun little detective game that you go and play. At times a little bit frustrating. Once we get through this screen, I will show you. So we go into derelict. So there we go. Mustang. We found all of the parts. So we've got a Nissan is our next vehicle, and we're given these clues, and that's it. So we can zoom in on the clue, and you can pin this one to the map. And that's what we have to work with. So using that particular clue, we've now got to kind of essentially match up where the roads are on the map and then find where the derelict is. Now, I know from the last one I did that the little sort of X that we have on that particular map is the airfield. It took me a long time to figure out that that was supposed to be the airfield because these clues do not show every single road in an area. As you can see, like these little roads here, for example, aren't on the map, whereas this big road here is. Can that lead to some frustration? Yes, it can when you're trying to decipher what is actually important and not. And for example, on this particular map, where the freeway is here, this is two lanes essentially that's only shown as a single one on the clue itself. Yeah, at times it's a little bit arsey, quite frankly. So we're going to be looking for the derelict somewhere out over here, essentially. Going to be off in that general direction. So we will fire off the Land Rover. Okay, so there's only 1,500 yards. Well, yeah, okay, the clues can at times be a little bit annoying. I like this way of doing things. Rather than having, this is an area, go search through that area, you've got to kind of find the area using the map. A little bit of detective work. It's good fun. You've only got to do it 5 times. You've got to find, the first bit is kind of finding the chassis, and then after that, you've got the various different parts to go looking for. It's not too bad in terms of completion. They are quite well hidden. They're quite arsely hidden from time to time. Oh, we're not going to be able to go exploring over there, are we? Of course not. Oh, no, of course. The reverse is a little bit funny with this as well. You can't kind of put it down into reverse and then use what would normally be the throttle pedal to get it into reverse. You have to still hold the brake to go in reverse. Don't ask. So the derelict is somewhere over up in there. Now, when it comes to these kind of areas, I'm unlikely to be able to, because I don't think I'm just going to hit an invisible wall if I try to go up here. Yep. There will be a way to jump into these areas that you can't normally reach. Like, I can get out of that area, but I can't drive up into it. I'm going to have to go and find another way. Let's just go check. Yeah, it kind of is up there, isn't it? This could... Oh, there we go. So the derelict has come up on my bleepy station. Alright, so we've overshot it. It's going to be up here. I have to try and find a way up to... Unless, I guess it could be... Oh, come on. Spin around. Spin around. Bump into invisible walls. Come on, Land Rover. Fine, don't spin around. Right, we'll go back down this way. It was definitely bleeping away here. Alright. Oh, there it is. It's over my... Okay, never mind. Not going to go up there. Slightly in the wrong place from me, but we will then find the derelict chassis. We will pick that bit up, and then we're going to go do it 4 more times with 4 more different clues. And you can choose what spec of these derelicts you want them to be, whether they're a race car, whether they're going to be a drag car, drift car, what's the other one? Off-road or enforcer? No, runner, sorry. Like extra strong to bat police cars out of the way. So yeah, the derelict thing's good. I would like a little bit more freedom. You want more freedom in terms of just the map exploration for the derelicts to be really extra special. However, it's the best way I've seen this system played out. So again, now we've got a whole bunch more clues. We can use this one here to try and locate. So that's probably going to be somewhere around here-ish, around the solar farm. That's actually quite a nice, easy one. The map will always be rotated the correct way, as far as I can tell, as far as I've come across anyway. So that will help with the whole slightly arseholey clues. But yeah, derelict system, fantastic. I think that's a really good way of doing things. Not without its own little issues, but on the most part, brilliant. So up until this point, everything was looking relatively positive for Payback. And that is until we get to the performance customization, which does its utmost to try and ruin the entire game. It is staggeringly awful, this system. So we have got 6 parts, essentially, to the performance of the vehicle. We've got the head, the block, the ECU, gearbox, exhaust, and turbo. And these parts are upgraded through speed cards. So, for example, this head part that I have, it increases the NOS capacity of the car, it increases the top speed, and so on. Each of these cards has kind of random traits that it adds to. So things like a turbo, for example, can add to the braking power of your vehicle. I think I have one of my cars has got an engine block that increases the brakes for the car. Now, not only is it a relatively dumb system, it is also a horrendous grind fest, because you get one of these parts for every race that you win. So you win a race, you get a random part. Now, that part may not be any better than the ones that you've got on the vehicle at the moment. Not only that, is that you will be given parts that are around the level that you are at. So, for example here, if I were to go and win a race, I would be given a part that was level 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. I don't know. But if I was to be doing a race with, let's say, the Mustang, I wouldn't be able to get a level 5 part. I'd get a level 2 part, level 1 part perhaps even, which is some slightly additional traits. So to get your car up to higher performance levels, well, you can't. There's no quick and easy way to get the vehicles up to higher performance levels unless you use a higher performance car, kind of collect the parts, and then I think you might be able to then go and apply them onto this. I'm not actually kind of sure about how all of this works. Do I have any? No, I guess I've got one in here from somewhere, possibly. It's not a good system. It is not a good system at all. This comes with, by default, it's got a higher performance level than some of the other cars. I'm guessing that this then won't have anything that I can put in it, possibly. I think the Mustang, I might have actually drawn that from the random wheel. We'll get to that in a minute as well. Yeah, so none of the bits that I have bonuses on the Buick can then go and be stuck into Ford here, for example. And it just makes the game a horrendous grind fest. It is so astronomically bad because you'll get one of these parts every time you win a race. You get one of these cars every time you win a race that will, if it is a helpful part, increase the performance of your vehicle by about 3 or 4. So the little number associated with your car by about 3 or 4. The difference in recommended level for each race is around 10. Now, unfortunately, at the particular point I am in the career mode, I can't actually show you because I will have completed all of these levels and I can't. It doesn't show you what the recommended level was at the time that you did it. So, not quite sure, but it is around 10 per thing. So at the end of each race, your car goes up by maybe 2 or 3. It takes 10 to get it to the recommended level. They're essentially wanting you to rerun the races 3 times before you move on. That's the idea here. That's not a good thing. I mean, the races themselves aren't terrible, but I don't want to be doing the same race over and over again. I want to have, give, by all means, give like as a big race, have us 3 smaller races and then go through the big race. That's fine. That's how you do progression. Don't force us to rerun the same damn race. Now, I have found a way to cheat this system. Okay, of course, yes, it is a recommended level, and the way around it that I have found is don't play on the harder difficulty level. If we go under here into settings, I have the game set on medium. And what that means is that my car can be 10 or 15 points even down, and I can still go and win the race. I will have a close race. If I have the game set to hard, when I'm racing a car that's at the recommended level, I'll have a close race with the AIs. If I am even 5 down on the AIs, their cars are so very quick that it makes it difficult, and if you're 10 or 15 down, you might as well forget it. I mean, I'm not the best driver in the world at this game. I'm fairly competent, however, and yeah, you don't stand a chance because the AI cars are just so overpowered. So there is a way. I have found a way around it, and I have found a way to still be having fun, if you like, with this game, despite such a stupid upgrade system. But that comes very, very close. Very close indeed to ruining the entire game. And that's all for the sake of, well, a terrible upgrade system that encourages microtransactions, because of course you can buy these premium shipments that will give you part tokens and all sorts of other stuff that I am never going to go near. Yeah, the game's been made a terrible grindfest to encourage you to buy part shipments, essentially. You can get some basic shipments, but I think you might get 1 or 2 free a day, and you can get them for completing the events, but you have to complete, I think I'm now 50, you've seen I've been going through this, I'm like 50 of these activities away from the next shipment. It's going to take a long time to get a shipment, and in that shipment I will get maybe, I think the most I've ever seen is 6 part tokens, and these tokens are used to convert into, sorry, if we should go jump to a tune-up shop. Are you one? Yes, you are. So yeah, it can be converted into a random drawn part from this tune-up shop for three tokens for 1 part. It's such a bad system. such an awful system. You can buy some of these. They're very expensive, and a lot of the time the shop's like inventory changes every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and a lot of the time they will, you know, change to something. Only one of these is of any use to me. Only one of these will actually improve my Buick, and again, it's by 3. It's only 3 points better than what I currently have. Sure, you know, I'll take the nitro thing. That's 14 grand though for that. That's a sizable amount of cash on all of that. So yeah, this is the trading thing is just a prize wheel, if you like. So let's say a weak part in all of my thing is a turbo at the moment. So I can choose to specify I want a turbo, but it'll be a random brand or a random bonus, or you can specify a particular sort of bonus you want or a particular brand. If you get 3 of the same brand, you get an increased... you get a bonus to performance. So let's say we go for a turbo and we want the Rocket brand, whatever that one is, to try and... there we go. Say we want a turbo. We'll go for the Rocket brand. Now, this is going to cost me 3 of these trade-in points. So it's essentially taken me 3 speed cards to get a trade-in point for something that that is actually quite good. That's by far and away the best part I've ever come across in all of this. So yeah, that time I got lucky in drawing something that was relatively decent, but a lot of the time you'll have traded in 3 stuff for something of no real use for something else of no real... It is abysmal. It really is. Now... the other weakness of this game is the story to it is terribly cliched, not very well voice acted, horrendously over the... I mean, if you thought Fast and Furious is over the top, you should see the first heist mission that you do in this. It's silly. Not to the point where I'm, you know, not enjoying playing the game. What I'll be intending to do with this is I'll have TV on in the background or YouTube on in the background and not really pay attention to the voice acting or the story and sort of suspend your disbelief for a minute and enjoy driving the ridiculous missions, and it's okay. You know, it's not the best story in the world and it's often completely absurd, but I can still just about tolerate it if you don't think too hard. And yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse, quite frankly. So story-wise, it isn't too terrible. Are we going to get 160 through there? Sure, we are. We've now got 2 stars. It could take me another 42 to get anything useful. Yeah, I mean, the story being a bit dodgy on its own, you know, wouldn't dissuade me from recommending this game, because I can still have fun messing around with the cars and not really paying attention that much to the story. You certainly wouldn't play this game for the story. You play this game to mess around with the cars. However, the horrible mess of the upgrade system will make it very difficult for me to recommend this one, which is a shame, because one system for this has essentially ruined what would otherwise be a relatively fun game. It's silly, it's very, very silly, yes, but for the most part relatively fun. And it is being ruined by an awful, awful upgrade system to encourage microtransactions, essentially. And yeah, it's such a shame, because it could have and should have been a lot better a game. Should have been a lot better. You know, all it needed was, hell, the same upgrade system as the previous one had. The same system that, you know, we've had in, well, most racing games these days when it comes to upgrading cars for your performance. You know, you go to the shop, like we have with the visual stuff here. You go to the shop and you buy better brakes, you buy a bigger turbo, buy better camshafts or whatever it might be for your vehicle, rather than this crap that we've got at the moment. So yeah, I can't fully recommend this game, not with that current system. It is fun in places, and when the game's on sale somewhere, then I would say absolutely go and pick it up. But that performance upgrade system, the grind fest that it wants you to do, is shocking. It really, really is. And that, I'm afraid, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.